So you've got to a point in your trading journey where you feel like you have a strategy that works. Perhaps you've back tested it and you've seen that it works out on paper, or maybe you have a mentor that has taught you a strategy. It's working for the mentor, maybe it's working for the other people in the community as well, or maybe you're doing a prop firm evaluation at the moment and you're finding that you're winning and you're losing and you can't quite get to profitability because you find that when you're live trading, for whatever reason, you just can't stick to the rules. You're breaking your rules. You're taking trades that don't quite meet your entry criteria. You're hesitating, you're seeing your setup, but you're finding reasons to not enter. Perhaps you're not following your rules fully. Maybe you're not allowing your trade to run and you're taking profits prematurely and it's affecting your P&L. You're not able to get to profitability. Then this video is for you. The final missing piece to your edge is you. It's the psychological edge. You need to get to a point where you can master self, where you can control the emotions that come up in those moments so that you are not led by your emotion, but you can stay focused on your rules and what you're supposed to do in that moment in order to be profitable. It's so interesting because when I got into trading, like maybe you did, I never imagined how much psychology would play such a huge role in you being consistently profitable. And when you think about it, it makes sense because money is such an emotional thing for all of us. We live in a world where we need money. So money means something, right? So when we are actually live trading, seeing money go up and down, we place a meaning and a level of importance on that. So it's so natural for us to want to protect that money, not lose that money. You know, that's just almost the human way of thinking. But with trading, you literally almost have to reverse that. You kind of have to go against all of your natural human instincts and begin to think like a trader. And in this video, I'm going to provide you with a practical tool that you can use to help you identify your own unhelpful patterns, what is triggering you, i.e. what has to happen in the market which causes you distress, which causes you to not stick to your rules, and what's happening internally in those moments, causing this vicious cycle of unprofitability. And this will help to raise awareness of self, what you're currently doing, what your current baseline is, which will then help you to make changes. And this tool is so empowering because it gives you agency over what is happening, and it gives you the power to do something differently, to think differently, so that you can get to where you want to, which is to be that consistently profitable trader. And I feel like using this tool was very helpful for me. I have the privilege of being a cognitive behavioral therapist by background. So I understand how to break unhelpful thinking patterns, unhelpful behaviors which are causing undesired results. And I know how to help people and to move towards what they want. So I was able to use this evidence-based tool for myself to get me from being an unprofitable, inconsistent trader, not able to follow my rules, to being a consistently profitable trader. And I remember trading being such a very emotive thing for me. It was quite stressful, and it got to a point where it wasn't enjoyable. I'd go to my desk feeling like it's going to be a task, like a real task. It's going to require a lot of effort from me. And I'm not saying trading doesn't require effort now. It requires focus. But it's more relaxing now. And I'm not saying it's a fully relaxing activity, because again, you need to be focused. You need to be alert. You need to have clarity. But I feel far more in control now. Far, far more in control. And it's less threatening now. It's more just a task that I have to be focused on. That's all. So when I started to trade, one of the problems that I noticed was that I would enter trades that didn't meet all of my criteria. So it might just meet a few, but not everything. And another major problem that I had was not allowing price to go all the way to my take profit level. So as I would see that I'm in profit, I would just exit. I'd exit prematurely. And I kept noticing this pattern, and I was noticing that I had no problem with letting price go all the way to my stop loss. So in a way, that was a good thing, because I never let it go past my stop loss. I would always get out at stop loss. But it was bad because I would never allow my profits to go all the way to take profit level. And so I would have all of these small wins, but bigger losses. And overall, I was losing money, even though I was having more winning trades, right? So I noticed this through the journaling. So what I would do is I would like journal just kind of the chart stuff, like was it a win, was it a loss, did I go long, did I go short, how long was I in the trade for, and things like that. But what I started to do is I wanted to understand what was going on with me. What was the psychological barrier as to why I couldn't stick to my rules? So after each trade, I would do it afterwards. I wouldn't do it when I was in the trade, because that would be just too much that you'd have to do. You have to focus on price and also be journaling your thoughts. It's just not possible. It's not effective. So as soon as I would exit the trade, I would ask myself, what was going through my mind? Like in that moment when I broke my rule, in that moment when I chose to exit before my planned exit, what was going through my mind? And I noticed through writing it down, I was having thoughts like, what if this money, this unrealized profit turns into a loss? It's going to take me longer to make money. I need to make money. Also, when I would enter trades that were kind of subpar, they weren't A+. The thought around that was, what if I miss a big move? What if it goes without me? What if this is the only trade for the day, or the only setup for the day? What if I miss this and it takes me longer to make money? So again, it's all around this kind of sense of urgency that I had to make money. And because I felt this need to make money, I wasn't making money. Like I had this need and this strong desire to make money, and it was influencing how I viewed everything on the charts. But it was leading to behaviors such as exiting winning trades early and then not making money, losing more than I was making. So I noticed this pattern, and I will show you how you can document and what you need to identify for yourself in order to become aware of what's going on for you, which is causing inconsistency. So through using this tool, I have been able to reframe my thinking, and I've got to a point now where subconsciously and deep down, I know that trading is a way to make money, but I don't go to the charts with that mindset. I go to the charts with a mindset of something along the lines of, like, I'm not saying this explicitly, but this is my mindset now, and this is how I view trading. And it's that trading is like a game or a puzzle which has clear rules that have to be followed in order for me to get to the next level. And a word that came up for me that kind of shifted everything, and this is just personal for me, but the word was objectivity. I am objective. Are my rules met? Yes or no? If yes, enter. If no, don't enter. So that word, like objective, it just took out all the other thinking that I was doing, the overthinking. Oh, there's this, price is doing this, but it's not quite this. Are all your rules met? Yes or no? And just making it so simple. As I say, it just takes out the thinking, takes out the overthinking, takes out the anxiety. You almost become separate somehow to the scattiness in the chart, in the market. Price can do a madness sometimes, but you don't have to follow that. You stick to your rules and you stay objective. And I have the mindset now of whether I take a winning trade, a losing trade, whether price moves without me, huge move without me, whether I sit at the charts for an hour watching price and I haven't entered at all, I'm okay with all of those outcomes. I'm okay with a win, I'm okay with a loss, I'm okay with price going without me. I'm nonchalant about everything because I know that all of those outcomes equal profitability. That's what profitability looks like. So, and I had to say to myself, because I was kind of getting sick. I was getting sick of this stage of not being able to do what I know I had to do. So I said to myself, if I was profitable, how would I be thinking in these moments? What would I be doing? And I just started to shift internally. Internally, I imagined and I came to my desk as a profitable trader, even though I wasn't. And that led to me making decisions as a profitable trader, which then changed the outcomes. I was more consistent. So I'm going to share the tool with you, which is the first stage in breaking unhelpful patterns. And that first stage is awareness. You have to become aware of what is happening. Currently, you have to become aware of your baseline, where you are at now, and then you're able to make some changes. Okay, so from a cognitive behavioral perspective, at its core, it means that how you think affects the way you feel, which affects the way you behave, so the actions you take. And I'll give like a more trivial day-to-day example of this. So let's say, for example, you're walking down the road and you see your friend on the other side of the street, and you say hello, but you don't get any acknowledgement back. What thoughts might go through your mind? Maybe you might think that you've done something wrong and they don't like you anymore. And that might then lead to you feeling anxious, maybe a bit upset. And then you might text them, asking them, have I done something wrong? Or maybe you might even avoid them and maybe just spend a bit of time like really overthinking it, maybe replaying your last interaction with them, really trying to work out what you could have done wrong. Now, let's say you have the exact same situation. You're walking down the road, you see your friend on the other side of the street, you say hello, but you don't get any acknowledgement back. But let's say the thought that you have is, oh, maybe they didn't see me. In that moment, you're not going to feel as anxious, as upset. So the emotional intensity will be far more reduced, which would lead to different behaviors. Maybe you're able to focus on the rest of your day. Your attention is on what you're doing. You're able to do your activities as planned instead of sitting down, ruminating, really thinking about what you've done, really replaying over past events. So you can see how you have the exact same trigger, exact same situation, but how you interpret them affects the way you feel, which changes your behavior. So you can see that relationship there. So it is really important and helpful if you're struggling with consistency in your trading, you're not able to stick to your plan, you're breaking rules. It's going to be really helpful for you to identify what are your triggers, what are the situations that cause that behavior, and how are you interpreting that? What are the thoughts going through your mind in that moment? Okay, so I'm probably going to have this on screen, but what I would recommend that you do is the next time you're trading and you notice that there's an emotionally charged moment, maybe you broke a rule, maybe you hesitated, maybe you skipped a trade, as soon as you can after the trade is over, so that you can recall your thoughts more accurately, so try and do it as close to the moment as possible. I want you to write down, what was the trigger? What happened in the market which started to cause a shift in my emotion or how I was feeling physically? What exactly happened? So you'll write that down. So it might be that you suddenly notice fast price movement, as an example. Then I want you to write down, what was the thought? What was going through my mind in that moment? And it might be something like, what if I miss this move? What if price goes without me? And then you write down, how did you feel emotionally? So maybe you felt anxious, fear. And then you write down, what did you do? So it might be that you entered before confirmation. Okay. And that in itself is so helpful, because now you're aware of what triggers you and how you respond to that. And you can do this over a week or so, because what this will do is help you to see if there are any reoccurring patterns or any reoccurring themes in how you're thinking and how you're interpreting this. And then if we just think about the reframe, so for example, let's say you have that same trigger again, price suddenly moves fast, because we know that that happens all the time. So maybe that might happen again. And then you might move to a point where you're able to interpret that differently, because we know the issue is not always the trigger, but it's how we view it. Linking back to that whole friend example and them not saying hello back. It's not always the situation that's the problem, but it's how we interpret it that leads to the further issues around how we feel and the actions we take. So you then might get to a point where you're able to say, or you're able to view that trigger as, okay, price is moving fast, but I'm going to wait for my confirmation. So you can have that frame of mind instead. So you're acknowledging what's happened, but you're saying, I'm going to wait for confirmation, as opposed to, what if I miss this? Because we know where that takes you. So when you say to yourself, okay, price is moving fast here, okay, but I'm going to wait for my confirmation, now you feel more calm. You don't feel anxious, as in the first example. You feel more focused, more calm, more in control. And then that leads to the desired behavior you want. You're now able to wait for confirmation. You still acknowledged what's happening on the charts. You're aware that price is moving fast, but you're able to wait for confirmation, and maybe that leads to you not taking a trade that would have been a low probability trade, and you're actually able to wait for your A+ setup. Now, doing that over time and thinking in this way over time leads you to being a consistently profitable trader. So the point here is, instead of being led all the time by all of these external triggers, these things that are happening on the market, on the charts, you're becoming aware of how you are interpreting them, which is leading to undesirable feelings and behaviors. And now you're challenging them. You're coming up with a reframe. And when you journal in this way, so you can add this obviously to maybe a journal you might already have, which collects chart data, you're actually going to also do this. You're collecting emotional data. And over time, the more and more you do this, the more natural thinking in a more balanced and more helpful way is going to come to you. You're going to be like, okay, I've noticed that price is moving fast, but I'm going to wait for confirmation. And the more you do this, the more your behaviors are aligning with a profitable trader. And now your P&L is reflecting that. And now you have even more confidence in not only your strategy, but yourself. You are confident that you have the skills to be able to stick to your plan in those moments. When stuff happens unexpectedly, you have a body of evidence that if you challenge how you interpret that, it will help you to stick to your plan, which will make you a consistently profitable trader. If you're at a stage in your trading journey where you have a trading strategy and you're just really struggling to get over that final hurdle of profitability, you're noticing that you're still just struggling to follow the rules. You have the rules there, but when you're live in the moment, when it's in real time, you just struggle to manage your emotions, then I highly recommend you get my trading psychology course called The Embodied Trader, which is available at thetradersmuse.com. It will also be linked in the description below or the bio. This course has been specifically designed to help you to identify your own unhelpful patterns that are keeping you stuck in this vicious cycle. So it's not just about psychological theory, it's a very structured, practical course that you can implement. And as a cognitive behavioural therapist, I've included evidence-based tools that you can use to break unhelpful thinking patterns and unhelpful behaviors. And it includes tools such as a belief audit, so helping you to sort of get to the bottom of any underlying beliefs that you have about yourself, about trading, about losses that might be influencing how you think day to day on the charts. It includes the trigger journal, which I've mentioned today, a regulation toolkit that you can use in the moment when you notice that you're kind of going on tilt a bit, as well as a reset plan for when you do actually make a mistake. This plan offers a way for you to recommit to your strategy without spiraling further. It's a course that is not full of motivational quotes. It's evidence-based, it's based on cognitive behavioral psychology, and it's not full of fluff. It's kind of a brief, focused course. And it's a course where you'll find that most of the change will happen when you implement the tools into your real trading, as opposed to when you're just watching the course. So it's a very practical, actionable course, and it's really important that you actually apply the tools in order for you to see change. So as I mentioned, it's at thetradersmuse.com. The link will be below or in the bio. And the first 5 students will get a free one-on-one 30-minute coaching call with myself, where you'll be able to discuss your progress on the course, any questions you might have, your experience of the tools and actually implementing them in real time as well. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please drop a comment below of maybe any unhelpful thinking patterns you've noticed. I am also happy to offer a reframe for those thoughts. And I just think it's nice having other people see how others are also experiencing the trading journey as well, and having that peer support can be really helpful too.